All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program. You know we're talking Johnny Cuba, European roots with that Caribbean soul. Pick up a refreshing German lager in a can. Go to johnnycuba.us. You can find the location nearest you. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Our pal, Peter Rosenberg, Hot 97 in New York, ESPN New York, and, of course, WWE. Good to see you, Peter. Look at you. You got your Saturday night's main event shirt on. How do I get one of those?
I'm a vintage merch guy. I don't get a lot of new stuff just for the purposes of keeping my apartment, in order. But they had like the little zip up jacket. So I bought the little Saturday night's main event zip up jacket. My guess would be they probably sell it online, or you'll have to buy it in San Antonio when they do the next Saturday night's main event, end of January.
I obviously want to talk to you about Saturday night's main event, which was so fantastic a few days ago. And Peter was there. He was working, as he is all the big WWE shows. But first, though, major news, ESPN New York, the great Michael Kay show, you and Michael Kay and Don LaGreca. So you guys' final show was last week, right? Like, what were the emotions surrounding all of that? Was it what you expected?
Yeah, I would say it was around what I expected. I'd been there now. It'll be 10 years in September, I think, that I've been with the station. 9 years, or so on the K show. I definitely felt it. It was definitely sad. We have a weird way, human beings, of like turning the page once you sort of turn the page. Like literally, I've done one weekday show that's going to be this new version of Afternoon Drive, which is still myself and Don, but it's a trio of me, Don, and Alan Hahn.
I like Alan Hahn,
who's a really good ESPN host. You could see him on Get Up or First Take. He also does the Nick stuff for MSG. So like I was super emotional on Friday, and over the weekend I saw people, and at Saturday night's main event, I mean, it was Rosenberg country. I mean, we're talking about Nassau Coliseum is, between all the things I do, Hot 97, ESPN, and we're at a WWE show on Long Island. Like, this is my people. And a lot of people expressing their sadness about the show changing, and I feel it too. And then, you start the next show and you move forward, and I feel pretty good. I mean, the truth is it worked out well for me. Like, I'm going to end up in a really good spot that I'm excited about.
And you had, I guess, maybe it was the last show, you had Jesse Ventura there with you on set, yeah?
Yeah, he popped up on the last show promoting Saturday night's main event. He came out to New Jersey where we were doing the live show. I got to tell you, man, he was very much Jesse the Body. I knew at that time. I was like, oh, he's going to be good. This guy's, he's still got it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. It had been a long time. He's 73. He's still got it.
He was excellent. I loved the whole setup, bringing him out with Joe Tessitore with the old broadcast setup where, Vince and Jesse used to be 100 feet away from the ring, and you got the crowd behind you. They did such a fantastic job, I thought, with the presentation, just from the trailer or the promo that Triple H teased out during the day, with the old entrance ramp in the middle of the crowd with the old school blue guardrail. The presentation was so great. I think the only thing missing, Peter, was an 11:30 p.m. start time.
It's so true. Like, the only thing that really made it different was an 8 o'clock start time, a 2-hour show instead of 90 minutes. And it was live. When we were kids, we didn't know this, of course. It was never live. It was always pre-taped. And this one was actually a live show. But I totally agree. I thought they nailed the feel. And from the second I got to the building, I was like, oh, they're doing this the right way. And there could not have been a better place to start it than at Nassau Coliseum.
It's so great because I heard you, for folks who don't know, and I think I've told this story before on ZASLOW Show 2.0, where I was listening to the Cheap Heat podcast, and you were describing with your pals what it was like growing up during the Saturday night's main event era, late 80s. And I didn't know that there was someone else, another kid who experienced it the exact same way that I did, where every week when we would get the TV guide in the mail, the first thing I did was flip to the very back page, which had Saturday night's schedule on it, the end of the week, and praying that it did not say Saturday Night Live at 11:30 on NBC and that it said Saturday night's main event. And holy shit, if it said Saturday night's main event, ooh, what a week that was going to be looking forward to.
I really, the reason I appreciate you saying it so much is, like, I cannot find anyone who fully understands it. Like, not only was it exactly what you just said, but it's so ingrained in my brain that, like, I can actually picture the font, the box in the TV guide, and both. Not only can I picture it in the Washington Post TV week that came every week, I can also picture it on the random occasions if I was at my grandparents' house and they had like an actual proper TV guide. I can picture that font and description also. Like, it was so exciting. And, you know, like, one of the reasons I care so much about being a part of WWE, it really is so much about fulfilling the kid in me. And I don't think that anything really taps into that more than Saturday night's main event. And the way they started, they even pulled up the whole Saturday Night Live will not be seen because of the following NBC Entertainment, whatever. They changed it slightly. I think the original one said for the following NBC sports presentation. I think they changed it and it said like for the following NBC Entertainment, whatever. But they did the thing where they showed the TV clicking to channel 4. Like, oh, they did. So, and then at first, when they started, it wasn't playing the Animotion Obsession intro. It was the like other thing they use on Peacock. And I was like, oh no, did they end up not using it? And then I said, oh no, this is all the pre-intro. And when it got to the real intro and they played that Animotion Obsession, oh man, all the feels. It was all the feels.
I was watching it on Saturday night. I had just gotten home from Army Navy in Annapolis. Which, by the way, so it was my first time in the stadium. I know it's the Commanders, it's your team, Northwest Stadium. What a fucking dump that stadium is, right? I'd never been there before.
How about this? It's better than it used to be.
Really? Oh, that's not a good stadium.
Oh, it is to me the worst I've been to, but they've made it a little bit. They're doing whatever they can until they move to make up for all the terrible Snyder decisions and, you know, cost-cutting measures. No, it's a total dump, but continue.
So I got home late that night and I told my boys, like, let's watch Saturday night's main event. I got it recording, you know, and I'm pointing out everything. I'm like, this is so good. Oh my God. You don't understand. This was my childhood right here. And I'll tell you, you could understand, Peter, you know the WWE viewers who aren't quite our age when you get the complaint that it was a glorified house show. And it's like, dude, that's what Saturday night's main event was. When, like, sometimes you had the huge angle, you had Andre and Hogan in the championship, but that was Saturday night's main event. It was like a glorified house show on Saturday night.
What you're looking at, and by the way, a house show is great because it's a card full of big matches. They just don't usually have huge consequences. Now, if they keep doing this, which I believe it's planned for 4 a year, I'm sure they will start advancing the ball on storylines occasionally and having big things happen. But I totally agree. If I had any complaint about it, it was almost that it was like too good a card. Like I thought it was awesome. Like, and they promoted it so heavy, they almost made it feel like a PLE, but I get it. It's the first time back and you want to sort of remind people this is a thing. Have you seen numbers on it yet?
Yes, I actually saw a few minutes ago. It was 1.6 million, which I think is a really good number.
Is that a number they're happy with?
I think so. I mean, that's what Raw and SmackDown get.
I mean, I just wondered, do you expect to get more though if it's NBC on a Saturday?
Still Saturday night. It's not a good TV night Saturday night.
Yeah, it's true. 1.6 million, 18 to 49.42.
I think it's good.
That's a pretty good number. SmackDown had a big week, it looks like, as well. So, hey, listen, I'm all for it. I love that they're doing this. It was not something I expected, so I just love that they brought it back.
It was so great. Speaking of PLE, this Raw on Netflix is shaping up to be a massive, massive show. I mean, we're already getting Roman versus Solo Sikoa, and it looks like I think what I originally thought is going to wind up happening here. Well, we're getting Punk versus Rollins because you can't stretch it out to WrestleMania. We're getting Punk versus Rollins January 6th on Netflix. Peter, we're getting Punk Roman at WrestleMania, aren't we?
That's a really interesting thought. Real quick, I do want to add this. I'm looking now a little deeper. 700,000 streamed live on Peacock. They got 2.3 million with the linear and the Peacock.
Great.
That's a nice number.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about what you just said. Like, if they're going to give us the Punk Rollins now.
I mean, you're telling me when they were in the ring together, when Heyman returned with Punk and they're staring at each other. I mean, you weren't hearing dollar signs? Like Punk,
no. Listen, it's gonna happen.
And Punk told Heyman, like, we know the favor is WrestleMania main event. That's the favor.
It likely is that. Now listen, certainly they have the option of doing it. They can stretch that out as long as they want. You know, I think you're probably right. The one thing that made Punk and McIntyre so great was the time they gave it to build. They let it really become meaningful. I would be curious. Like, I think Seth, if last night was a preview of what's to come with Seth and Punk, it could be so good that, like, I don't necessarily hate the idea of January 6th being part 1 and WrestleMania being part 3, Hell in a Cell. Like, I don't necessarily hate that either. But you're probably right. I mean, I guess they want to get to the Roman Punk thing sooner than later, right? But at the same time, Roman has so many things out there. We don't know the final boss situation of it all. We don't know when Roman Cody 3 happens, although I'm guessing that gets a break this year, right? It doesn't feel like it would be now.
I think we get Rock Cody before we get Roman Cody 3.
I think you're right. And now it sounds like when I look online, it sounds like there's speculation. People don't know when Rock is coming back. That may not be a this year thing. So maybe you're right. Maybe we go right to Punk Roman. And so here's my question for you, Zaslow. You know these things. You're good at guessing the future. Where do we go with John Cena? Is it John Cena? Is it John Cena getting the World Heavyweight Championship off of Gunther?
Yeah, I think that's the direction. I don't think he wins it, but I think that's the story at WrestleMania, where it's Cena going for the record against Gunther. So does that mean, though, that Cena wins Royal Rumble? That's possible. Cena wins. Like, can you imagine? How would the crowd react to that if Cena wins the Royal Rumble? I think it'd be a very big deal, right?
I think it'd be huge. And my favorite thing about any of the stuff with Cena is that, were you like hardcore still in like the early Cena era, 08, 09, 10?
No, that was a break that I took. Everyone takes a break.
Yeah, I thought that was your break. So this is when I was fully back, like hardcore. Right. All we wanted was for Cena to lose. That's all any adult fans wanted. Yeah. Cena to lose. I love that it's 2024, soon to be 2025, and all adult fans want is Cena to win. Right, that's all I want is the man to win a match, for God's sake. I want him to beat Gunther at WrestleMania. I've had enough of him losing. I would love for him to win the Rumble. It would be his 3rd. I think that ties him with Hogan for most Rumble wins. Then he could go tie the Ric Flair's record. I would love it.
I think the move is Cena winning the Rumble and Cena going for the record.
And then you think he loses to Gunther. I think it depends. I think it depends on what they do with this Gunther character. Like, I interviewed him after his match on Saturday. It's up on YouTube. His character is changing, and he's very warm now. Like, he's becoming this like authentic athlete character.
Well, he's very about sportsmanship.
Correct. And so he if you watch the interview, he's a straight up babyface with us. Shakes hands, laughs a bit, thinks he needs to be better, didn't feel confident going into the match, really needs to I like it. It's kind of he's really being this understated, interesting sort of introspective athlete. So it's kind of like, where does that character go? Does it connect? I think that's a big piece about whether or not Gunther wins. It's almost as much about where the Gunther character is, I think, as it is about what you want to do with Cena, who's probably willing to do anything.
Do you have any clue who would win the Women's Royal Rumble at this point? Because I don't have a clue.
Yeah, I mean, the two most over non-champions. Well, I can't say non-champions anymore because now Chelsea's a champion.
Oh, is she fantastic? That was the best part of Saturday night. When it's an organic run that everyone's able to get behind, she is fantastic.
So that was amazing, but now she's a champion. So Tiffany Stratton would be the most over woman who doesn't have a title, but of course she has the briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to imagine her winning the Rumble this year. We have not seen Becky Lynch in a very long time, though she's showing up to like the promo for Netflix. So like we know she'll be around. Bianca has been in a sort of weird place because she was quieted so much with the tag run, and now she has to sort of find her way again. But that also wouldn't feel very exciting because she's always sort of on top of the card. It's like Bianca Belair doesn't really need to win a Rumble. You feel like she could call her title shot at any point. Mm-hmm. So like, who is that person that really uses the Rumble to get over the hump? Because we just got two new women stars. I mean, Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton in the last 6 months have become stars. Who is that next one who can grab the brass ring? That's a really, it's a fascinating question.
I don't know. How do you envision Charlotte Flair returns? Because I've been thinking / hoping, I think it's got to be to confront Nia Jax. Nia Jax is running around calling herself the queen of the ring. Charlotte Flair's the queen. I think Charlotte returns to confront Nia Jax, and then you get Tiffany Stratton in the mix, eventually leading to Charlotte Tiffany, which we all want to see.
The question for me becomes, do they announce Charlotte's return before 1/6, or does she just show up on 1/6? You know, it is interesting. Like, one of the big complaints we make on our podcast about the show, because yes, I do proudly work for WWE and have had the latitude, thank God, to go on my podcast and still complain like a fan because I don't know the decisions that they make. I'm basically just a fan who gets to hold a mic sometimes. So,
right.
You know, one of the complaints we have is sort of over promotion at times. Like we're always so big at driving eyeballs that sometimes we forget about the surprise. I wonder with 1/6, will they keep some surprise, like true surprises too? And would Charlotte be one of those? Or like, does she show up on Wednesday tomorrow to the press thing? And like, we just find out she's on 1/6. I am sure she will be on that show. That I mean, I'm guessing she's been gone for so long. She posted videos looking great months ago already. Like, it has to be now, right? I think you're right, though. Every time Nia Jax says she's queen of the ring, you just go, well, there's only one queen.
Yeah. Do you have any idea how Netflix is going to work commercial-wise? Like, am I just getting 3 straight hours of nonstop action?
No, I was in Dallas at the old the Tyson Paul fight and ran into some Netflix folks who I didn't know, but was chatting up. And from what I gather, there will be commercial breaks. There will be some version of, and again, I have not heard this within WWE, but this is what I heard in conversations when I was in Dallas. There's going to be some version. You have to have breaks, right? Like, you cannot have a wrestling show that just goes constantly. I think both for the sake of fans, talent, production, like, we have to be able to cut away from the show for a moment. So I think there will be some version of it. I don't know what that looks like. And I know it will be complicated because of the international stuff. So there's going to have to be different looks depending what part of the world you're in and consuming it, because advertising in America won't be the same as advertising in Belgium. So there'll be some different looks, I'm sure. I don't know how that's going to be done, but I do not think we're going to be sitting there watching 3 hours of straight wrestling. I think that's an impossible task for everybody producing that show.
Isn't it wild if you consider like 5 years ago, this time, 4 or 5 years ago, to then fast forward to now and where the WWE is? It's unbelievable.
It's it kind of keeps going. You know, it is pretty fascinating. I mean, it is just getting increasingly hotter, it seems. And I think that presents a fun challenge too. I really do, because with the increased eyeballs and with the increased success and the money, you still have to maintain a great product and you have to maintain edge. You know, that is something about WWE that always cycles around, is the how much it's a kid show versus how much it has edge. I don't think we'll ever go back to bra and panties matches. Okay. I think that ship has sailed. But I do think in this Netflix era, maybe we will find some more edge, because yes, you want to have kids watching, and we do really well with that. But do you, in the later part of the Netflix Raws, find a little more room for the thing that gets like teenagers and college kids psyched to be watching? And like I said, this is not the Springer era. I'm not expecting that. But I do think it will be a challenge to maintain this popularity, please your stockholders, all of that stuff, and also do that thing WWE's always done, which is have a little bit of edge so it's still the cool thing. Because at some point, and this is tough, at some point, celebrating corporate popularity at some point becomes uncool. That is the nature of a product. You can't, right. There's no band who's just like keeps getting cooler and cooler, and then they're on the cover of Serial. But like, you know, at some point the Jackson 5 had to end for Michael Jackson to be born as a solo star, that now all of a sudden had this young guy disco kind of edge thing happening. You know, Taylor Swift even will have periods where like she says something a little edgier. She goes in. You have to continue to develop. So it will be interesting and fun to see how this product pivots in the new TKO era. And I'm excited to watch that, because the roster itself and the people producing the show, like
the production quality these days, since they changed, you know, director, producer, unbelievable, the production quality now.
Yeah, I mean, there are some unheralded people behind the scenes. Brian Fathom, who literally like sits there and produces the show. Tommy Cullen, who produces everything that happens backstage. My man Tamario. There are all these people producing on the ground there who are so good. And I think they really now are trusted in this regime to do what they're going to do, and they're just really good at it. You know, and that goes all the way up to the Lee Fittings and the Triple H's and the Nick Khans and their vision and trust of people. They've empowered some really good people. Like Brian Fathom was the guy in my ear doing countdown shows, when they were kickoff shows. And I was just like, oh, this dude has the demeanor. Like, he's the dude. And he is now the dude. And you're just seeing it on the show every week. It's high quality.
Awesome.
You know, by the way, Joe Tess has been incredible, I think.
He's great. I mean, great. Brings credibility. You know, he knows the product. I mean, I remember last year in St. Pete, I was at Royal Rumble. Joe Tess was in the crowd. Like, he's a fan. He loves WWE.
Legit fan. And the thing about Tess is they've had other people who came and were like, oh, let's have them do the sportsy thing. Yeah. But for some reason, it just didn't connect. Joe Tess is a legit sports guy who, when you watch him do sports, you go, I can almost hear this guy doing wrestling. You know what I mean? He's meant to be the hybrid. So I just find his tone to be so authentic and good. I really think he's going to sit in that chair for a very long time. I really do.
Very good. He's very, very good. Peter, tell everybody everything you got going on, where everybody can hear and see you. Go ahead.
Well, if you sat through this conversation of us marking out for the last 20 minutes, I think the thing I should plug is my Cheap Heat podcast. It's a wrestling show that we do every single week. We do a Patreon show as well. If that interests you, where we do watch-alongs. By the way, you should do a watch-along with us sometime. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I would do that.
We just jump on StreamYard on the weekend, maybe have a beverage, throw on a pay-per-view. It's a great time. So we do a lot of fun stuff. If you're into the wrestling talk, but also want to mix in some, you know, Jewish humor and general pontification, And check it out, the Cheap Heat podcast. And then my new show, Han, Don, and Rosenberg, officially launches on all the ESPN platforms on the same day as Raw, January 6th. So that'll be our first day officially out of the gate.
It's awesome. And I like Alan Hahn. You guys are going to do a great job there. That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, Peter. Great job as always, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks, dude.